have to. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us. We have our first heat wave in Corsica beginning today, so I switched my coffee to my water. So today's morning water is especially dedicated to the collaboration MedCruise has for the second year now with AIVP, the International Association of Port Cities. We mentioned it many times during our General Assembly in Corfu last month. Collaboration between port and city is crucial, and developing a sustainable cruise activity is in every stakeholder's mind, whether public or private. Therefore, this working group is all about sharing best practices and guidelines in order to create a sustainable environment now and for a better future where all the communities can live and work together in harmony. This collaboration between MedCruise and AIVP is embodied through a working group led by our board director in charge of port and city relationships, Noemi Frascella, and José Sanchez, director, Agenda AIVP 2030. Noemi, José, good morning.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Marie.
Thanks for giving me the opportunity to share about the work you've done so far with the member of your working group, but also to widen its perspectives for the next few months. Before we hear more from you, let me introduce you as well, my two as a guest, Hortensia Sanchez, cruise manager at Cartagena Port. Good morning.
Good morning.
And Alberto Cappato, Innovation Development and Sustainability Director at Porto Antico di Genova. Good morning, Alberto.
Good morning. Ciao a tutti from Genoa.
With both of you, we'll have two major examples of not only the cooperation between port and city, but clearly of the integration of the port in the city. Noemi, I'm coming back to you first. As I said in the introduction, you are board director of MedCruise in charge of the port and city relationships. Before introducing the working group you lead with José Sanchez from AIVP, would you please tell us more about your task?
Yes, thank you very much, Marie, first of all, for hosting us today during this great morning coffee. I have my coffee here. I don't know if you can see it. And my water too, because it's hot in Taranto too. And let me share my presentation so I can show you exactly what we are developing. So this is, can you see it? Just tell me if it's okay, of course. I put the presentation mode on. So yes, I'm covering now within the board of directors of MedCruise this task port and city relationship, following also the great activity done by my head of department, Silvia Coppolino, temporarily left this task within the board of directors. And we are together with José and IVP, we are now working for this working group, trying to talk about port and city relationship and cruising together in order to find a possible solution, or maybe to consider to pinpoint all the challenges that we have to face when discussing about these topics. As you all know, as we are also port city ambassadors throughout our work activities, we work in a port nearby a city whose main function is that of facilitating the flows of goods and people. And so among the many challenges we have to face, we have to also facilitate the interaction between different stakeholders. And one of the topics that we have to consider when discussing about port and city relationship is the dialogue with people, because working in this field, we have a lot of people belonging to different clusters. We have citizens, we have cruisers, we have shipping lines. And so the type of dialogue we have to consider is multiple. And also working in this field, as you know, talking about cruising, talking about tourism, we need to consider that we are the ambassador of a specific port city heritage that has become also a social engagement and marketing tool within our work. And during the activities of the working group, we have created a really unique cooperation practice. As the working group we coordinate together has and gathers together more than 30 members from different countries around the globe, as MedCruise covers the Mediterranean basin and AIVP covers the global area. So we have more than 10 countries represented in the working group. We are trying to make our work in a crystalline, inclusive, and smart way. So the idea and the activities we are developing are focused on gathering and sharing best practices by pinpointing all the goods and the best from cruising and port-city relations in order to find possible ways to bring the port into the city and the city into the port. We are considering and discussing about how to educate port city stakeholders in understanding and better understanding the cruise industry and the port city relations. In our last meeting, we hosted Francesca Antonelli, who discussed about training activities, for example. So it was really nice to hear the work that other port cities around the world are developing. And it is, I think, also inspirational for the activities that we can develop globally. And so we are trying to plan the city with a port by creating governance of cruise ports. I just put in a slide the main topics covered, just to tell you how it works. The structure of all the meetings we have, they are informal meetings, but closed meetings, because we launched a call for members in 2021, and it was refreshed this year, just to say, okay, do you want to confirm your interest in attending the meetings, or would you like to come and to be a new member? And all the meetings as a fixed duration, 1.5 hours. In the afternoon, the Central Europe time. We invite both internal members of the group and external experts in all the meetings, trying to provide a differentiate input to the members. So internal speakers share their best practices, and sometimes external speakers talk about practices already developed by a government, by a municipality, by a cruise line, or other institutions. Also, we hosted the United Nations, for example. So we had multiple type of external speakers. And after each meeting, we also produce a news, and we share on our social networks the main results of each meeting, trying to give a wider audience the idea of the working group. So throughout the 2022, in 2021, we only had a kickoff meeting. Throughout 2022, we focus on specific topics. First of all, post-COVID-19 was a very important topic for all the members at the beginning of 2022. We also discussed about communication and engagement with stakeholders. We discussed about resilience and sustainability and community building. And during the last event of 2022, we also, this is just an example of the external speakers we had. And so it was really useful to pinpoint all the topics that could be interesting when discussing about cruising and port city relationship, because this year we want to capitalize our work. We want to just create a concrete output that could be very useful for the best development of this segment throughout our port cities.
So now the working group is very active after yes, the kicking meeting you had last year in 2021. Sorry. So can you make us a brief recap of the actions taken since the beginning of the year in the working group, and what we can expect from it in the next few months?
Yes, of course, this year, as I was telling you before, we thought it was useful to be clear and sincere with all the members. So asking at the beginning of this year their confirmation of their interest in being members of the working group. So we launched a call and we asked all the members, please confirm your interest. Otherwise, you can follow the activities, you can see the results, but we want to involve active members this year, because we need to focus on specific goals. And it was really good for us because we also received new interest from new members, and we are about 30 members right now, covering ports from Canada, Finland, France, Greece, South America. And the main focus for this year is that of creating possibly the structure for a charter on sustainable cruise and port city best practices, because we have a lot of best practices gathered from different ports and different municipalities, and we want to create a new work, a new activity through the involvement of internal members and thanks to the support of external observers or professors or people interested in supporting our activity. This could be useful, even considering the existing work done by other institutions, other ports or organizations. But it will be useful, first of all, for us just to create a common way to discuss about cruising and port city relationship, aiming at the sustainability of this task. This year we will also meet in person because we decided to organize 5 meetings for this year, at least 5. Good news is that during the forthcoming events of both AIVP and MedCruise, we are considering the possibility to schedule an in-presence meeting in Burgas in October during the General Assembly of MedCruise, and in Venice in November, when AIVP will have, and Venice will host the World Conference. And so I think it will be also a good opportunity to meet in person and to further capitalize the work carried out until now.
That's good news. Yes, always better to meet in person. Thank you, Noemi.
Thank you very much.
I'm very pleased. So we can share today many examples you've mentioned before of the great work your members all over the world can provide to the working group. From an AIVP perspective, José, good morning again. You're director, Agenda AIVP 2030, and the co-leader of this working group. We are now on year 2 of this collaboration, and already many actions have been taken, as we just seen with Noemi. So from your perspective, what was the goal of the working group at the very beginning, and how do you manage to reach it now?
Okay. Well, first of all, Mary, good morning again. Thank you very much for inviting us to be part of this morning coffee. And to be really honest, I think Noemi already explained the majority of these challenges and the task of the working group. So I don't know if perhaps I just can dig a bit deeper and then answer some questions in case there is some interest. So yeah, indeed, we are in the 2nd year of the working group after a very productive first year. It's important to remember that the goal of the working group from the beginning was to have some sort of benchmarking of best practices that we have in both networks about the better dialogue with the local government stakeholders for better cruise port city relationship. Was also to identify current challenges and risks. It's important to remember that MedCruise and AIVP signed an MOU before the creation of this working group. I think we were almost in the middle of the pandemic period. So of course, then it was also the issue of the challenges and risks was even more important. And of course, about this dialogue and try to have some sort of concrete outcome. Now, for this 2nd year, we saw that, okay, there are already several guides of good practice by the industry or by the European Commission. Very recently, everybody knows about it. MedCruise, I think, also was part of the consulting bodies. CLIA is already launching several initiatives of this kind. There are also regional ones, and so on. So the idea was really to go further. And a bit as Noemi was saying, try to have, based on this very rich library, you could say, good practice that we have identified, try to establish some sort of base document that our members could use and adapt to their specific case to set some sort of key principles, kind of giving them a base document that they can adapt to an agreement on the local context between the different stakeholders. Exactly. So in a way, not just to produce another guided good practice, because there are already several, we don't want to repeat the work that is already out there, but to offer something to the member of both organizations that could be very useful, basically a new tool. And the good thing is that we have several examples already in our networks. We have the case of Bordeaux. There's is a new member this year, but already last year they contributed, where they have a cruise environmental charter with several key actors, including the pilots, for example. There is one very good agreement in Ceuta in order to promote the cruises between the port and the city. There is a very famous agreement in Dubrovnik about sustainable cruise activities, of course. So we are not starting from zero. We have, of course, from AIVP, our own more global agreement on sustainable port cities, where we are able to identify 10 key principles for the port city relationship. And I think we could go a bit in this direction, because this is coming from good practices and projects that we have seen from our members. So we believe that we could do something similar related to cruises and port cities, and also identify actions, concrete actions that the members could make.
So now, what is the calendar for?
Yeah, so building a bit on what Noemi was saying. Our initial goal is to have 5 meetings. You can see we started a bit late this year. The reason for that was because we wanted to really agree and have a discussion internally how to move forward and avoid repeating work that is already out there. So we had already a couple of meetings, one last week. And now what we're going to do is continue identifying good practices, and then based on these good practices and the challenges that our members are identifying, try to identify these principles. So, and then also we want to engage with them. So it's not just an exercise of Noemi and myself writing and that's it. We want people to be engaged and to give their ideas and to, so yeah.
To be proactive.
Exactly. We are really looking forward to, for this, because otherwise it becomes a very passive exercise. So we don't want that. We know that everybody has a very intense schedule and a very intense agenda. So this is a tentative calendar that we will, of course, adapt to the needs of the members. And ideally we would have some outputs already by the end of the year, but we are prioritizing having a good discussion. And if we have to take one extra 2 or 3 meetings before we have a more concrete output, we would prefer to do it rather than rushing on launching something that is not really at the level that we want it to be.
Can I ask you if somebody is watching today and wants to join the working group now, is it still in time or it is too late to join you? Because maybe we're gonna have the question, so
okay,
I'm anticipating.
Well, it's something I would have to see along with Noemi, mostly for one simple reason. We did a call for members a few months ago. But if it is an individual request, I think it's something we could see and we could be flexible. If suddenly we receive another 20 requests or 10 requests, something we would have to see, mostly to be, let's say, honest regarding what we had proposed in the beginning. But of course, we're happy to receive people. We're happy to receive members that want to participate in one of the sessions, to give some specific feedback about one project that they are developing. Some expert like we have here that they think, okay, they can really add value to the project. So for that, of course, we are always open to receive any kind of feedback and recommendations with members in the working group and from outside the working group, of course. Yeah, so just to conclude, one new thing I think this year is the fact that we are opening up a bit more in the sense that this is a monumental task that we have set for ourselves. We know that developing this kind of serious document is a bit more complex than just compiling good practices, is a bit more ambitious. So for that, we decided to contact some external help. Well-known names, I think, for everybody here in the room. Mr. Thanos Palis is a former General Secretary of MedCruise and very active in making studies, for example, on the economic impact of cruises and working with many other organizations.
And we had the pleasure to listen to him last week during the meeting of the working group.
Exactly, and he will join us.
He
will join us in several sessions. Mr. Francesco Di Cesare, who is an expert on tourism, responsible president of Risposta Turismo from Venice, that has also worked with several members of the working group. And of course, Mrs. Tiziana Murgia, that everybody knows from Assoporti, that has also been working on the issue of port-city relationship. So we believe they can add an external help or point of view, particularly regarding some good practices, but also the final document. I think it's really helpful when we are working inside one initiative to have somebody from the outside to tell us what we're missing. And finally, of course,
maybe a fresh perspective. You don't have sometimes sometimes you have lost when you are inside the discussion.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, we want to avoid doing something that only resonates well within the working group, and then when it's out in the real world, it doesn't connect to the need of others that were not participating in this exercise. And that is a bit also the reason we want to continue this collaboration with other international organizations. As Noemi was saying before, we already had last year representatives from all three of them, but also, of course, many others. We are in close contact with CLIA, and I know MedCruise is working also with the Global Sustainable Tourism Council.
Yes, we have signed an agreement with GSTC during the MedCruise General Assembly in Corfu last month. Actually,
exactly.
Yes.
So it's perfect fit. So we're open to working with everybody. We just want to address this issue, have a good document that can be useful for the members, and that's our mission for this year.
That's a very ambitious missions, and I'm very pleased so we can start to share with some of your members some best practices. For example, with Hortensia Sanchez from the port of Cartagena. Hortensia, good morning again. Can you?
Good morning.
Yes. So I've mentioned it before. You are cruise manager at Port of Cartagena and members of MedCruise AIVP working group. So Cartagena is remodeling its waterfront through a beautiful development project integrating port and city. I would love you to show us the different phases of the project so we can visualize its progression and see how Cartagena will look like at the end.
Yeah, well, I'm going to share my screen.
So we can have a concrete example of a port and city collaboration and integration. Please, Hortensia.
Yeah. Well, this is the current port right now. As you can see, we have the two cruises in the terminal and the cruise berth, and then we have two marinas, and then on the right side we have what is the city. The city center is just 200 meters from the terminal, so passengers can access the city very easily. The project is divided into 6 phases. What is common to all the phases is the rearrangement of the pedestrian and vehicle routes. We have provided also shade areas because, as you know, Cartagena is a city with very, very warm weather, and this walking distance is very short. But in hot weather, hot days, the shade, the shade is very much requested. And then also the refurbishment of street furniture and lighting, and also the new services that are going to be provided. In the first phase, which we started last year, in September of last year, as you can see, we have a square, is Plaza Héroes de Cavite, and the promenade has already been finished. We inaugurated a building, which is the one you can see
in white.
Yeah, the one with the where you see the flag of Spain.
Okay.
Well, that building was just opened last year, so it has a restaurant on the top floor and a bar in the bottom floor, and also has a terrace, so passengers can also have something either inside or outside. And to the right side, closer to the water, is the part where we have provided with shade. This is a new shade area. I have already seen, these last few days that we've had at cruise, passengers go under the shade, and so it's something that we know we have done right. This is the part right in front of the square, Plaza Héroes de Cavite. In the back, you can see the white pergolas. It's going to be on the top. They have plants, so it's going to provide a different kind of shade. This is another view. It's from the director's office. And then, yeah, this is the shade that is being provided. So this is the first phase, the promenade of Alfonso 12 and Héroes de Cavite Square. And yeah, this building right here is the one that I just mentioned that was inaugurated in September of last year, correct?
Okay.
Then we have the following two phases in phase 2, which is the one we have an office building. The Port Authority has an office building there, and it's going to be rebuilt. And also the area is going to be landscaped. And the third phase, we have the fishing dock. We're thinking of removing the a dry dock that we have there. So the idea, like we say, is to integrate the port into the city, so locals can access the port area.
Yes, the area. Yes.
Yeah. This is for us the most important phase, which is phase 4, which includes the cruise terminal and the marina promenade. Right now, there's an empty area from the ship to the city center. So that area is going to be new retail, either shops or bars. And in September of this year, we're going to have a new building, which is called Experience 43, which is I don't know if some of you know that liquor 43 is a liquor that is produced in Cartagena. So the company is going to have a building right in front of the cruise terminal where they're going to be able to offer the product, and also the possibility of visiting the factory, which is 10 kilometers from Cartagena. So that's going to open in September of this year.
Okay.
What we're planning to do, it's right inside the terminal. Yes, you can see in this new photograph, in the blue area, is to have buses being able to, right now they do come into the terminal, but we're gonna remodelate that, and we're gonna have the buses to be able to have the turnaround inside the terminal. We might do like how it is organized. I think it was in Kusadasi, where they had like the buses parked right outside the terminal, so they did not need to go inside. So passengers would just walk out the gate and go into the buses for the shores. The area is going to look something like this. This is right now the area that is empty, and we want to provide it with retail shops and restaurants.
So in terms of calendar, so different phases are expected to be finished in.
Well, they haven't given me a date, and it's not the phases are not gonna be like 1, 2, and 3, and 4. I mean, I think the next phase is going to be phase 4.
Okay.
So so next phase they're gonna start on is phase 4, and then we have the last two phases, which are phase 5 and 6, which is at the very end. Well, you can see this is one of the marinas that we have, and it's between the cruise terminal area and the fishing the fishing port. So this new area is going to be, they're going to have bicycle routes. It's going to look something like this. They want to provide, you know, more green area, more green spaces.
Really great.
Yeah, and they actually want to renovate all this area, you know, for the locals. You know, they're going to have the bicycle route and the pedestrian areas, as you can see right here in this other picture.
Yes, it's essential to think not only of the cruise passengers, but also of the locals, the local community, to enjoy the area.
Cartagena has always been in a very industrial city, industrial and military. So there has been like a kind of a division. I mean, the port area was just for the operation of the ships and the commercial ships, and that is why we are renovating all this area for the city and the cruise passengers.
And allows the integration of trees and green, but because it seems obvious now because of the climate transition, but we need greener port areas as well. Yeah,
we do. And just to finish with the presentation, where the port city integration, the way that we're helping the sustainability of the city, it's just not the waterfront redevelopment. We also have the cruise friend shop, which I've already spoken before in the past. It is it's a project where the retail shops commit themselves to open when a cruise calls Cartagena with 300 passengers or more. So that includes holidays, or maybe in the fiesta time, you know, the period in the afternoon where everything's closed. Well, these retail shops, they commit themselves to open. And then the Port Authority also collaborated with the city in 2 ways. And one of them was after the COVID, you know, we collaborated with Stakeholder, which is the food and service hospitality industry of the city. We provided the food safety certificate. We collaborated in this certificate. And
sorry for interrupting. That's something very innovative, in my opinion. Something that I don't see so often in a port activity.
Yeah, and at the end, we all know that the cruise business is something for the city, and the way to help both the cruise sector and the city, you know, we decided to help both the restaurants of the city with by funding the food safety certificate, and also we collaborated with the Chamber of Commerce. We also collaborated with them by supporting the seal that they provided to the different shops.
That's
so this is basically the way that the port is contributing to the sustainability.
That's really nice. That's a really good example of collaboration between public and private stakeholders as well. José, Noemi, would you like to tell some? Yeah,
I just want to say that I was really lucky because on the day of our preparatory meeting, I was in Cartagena last month. So I had the opportunity to see in person the development they are going to do. And yes, indeed, I was thinking about the similarities we have between Taranto and Cartagena, because even our port was mainly an industrial port, a commercial port. And so we started this diversification activity, both in terms of the infrastructure, so infrastructural development changes, but even in the mind of the people involved as both stakeholders, so port cluster, port authority, but also in the mind of people living in the city. So considering the city as a touristic destination, as a cruising destination. And it was really nice to see also the promenades they have. So the real touch that you can perceive of the cultural heritage and identity of the destination. And so congratulations, because it is really interesting to hear from your case.
Yes. Thank you so much, Hortensia. Yes.
No, thank you.
I am looking forward to discover Cartagena very soon, hopefully, because yes, it's a beautiful project.
2025.
Yes, I know. 2025, we're gonna have a general assembly in Cartagena. So yes, I look forward. I look forward. Thank you so much, Hortensia. José, do you want to?
Yes,
say something
very quickly
before,
because we're running out of time. We have seen, I think, one time this project in the past, or part of it. The main thing that I like is a combination of an investment that is both for the cruise passenger and the public, the people living in Cartagena. I think resources are limited, so I think the clever way really to use them is to address several needs at the same time. And for that, I think is what the Port of Cartagena is doing. I also appreciate this final slide that you shared, Hortensia, when you talk about the agreement with the different stakeholders. I think this could also be a good practice for the work that we're trying to do. So we will be in contact to learn more about that.
Thank you, José. Thank you, Hortensia, again. I am now pleased to give the floor to Alberto Cappato, Innovation, Development and Sustainability Director at Porto Antico di Genova, and also Secretary of the Board of the AIVP Association. Alberto, good morning again. So let's talk about Porto Antico first. To make a little introduction to the waterfront of Genova, representing the art of the city. And one of the largest squares of the Mediterranean. That's so maybe one of the main reasons Porto Antico is the first touristic destination of Genova. You're gonna tell us more about it. So how is it like? You have a presentation to show us how is Porto Antico?
Yeah. Thank you, Anne-Marie. Good morning again to everybody. I was thinking about my first contact with MedCruise. It was more or less 20 years ago, and the president was a guy from Genoa, Fabio Capocaccia, and there was Anna Carina Santini that was managing the association. That was very, very interesting subject. That was the first time I began to deal with cruise relationship, cruise company and cities, and also how to host them in the better way, and also how to let cities ready to host passengers. To give you an idea, first of all, I'd like to thank Hortensia for this really fascinating presentation, because I think that the waterfront area are changing. Porto Antico, that you see in the slide, it was one of the, at the beginning, one of the first renovation operations in the city center of Genoa. There was a place that was without any activity and for the citizen was not possible to use it, and so there was not a real sea contact from the city. And now, and you see that now the cruise terminal and the ferry terminal are not too far from this new city center of Genoa. I mean, the Porto Antico area is now the pedestrian city center of the city. And in the last 30 years, the city center moved from the railway station, the city center railway station, the so-called city center railway station 30 years ago, to the sea. And this is great. The second part, and that I see that, how can I say, a sort of third generation of a waterfront is an operation that is ongoing, that is the waterfront di Levante, that is at the east side of the city, that will be managed in a large part from the same company who managed Porto Antico. And this is totally different. We can go on in order to give you some spots, some image, in order to give you the idea of the difference. Hortensia told about, this is the Porto Antico area. Hortensia talked about something that is very interesting, connected to the shade area. For instance, if you look at the Porto Antico now, this image, there's no shade. This is a problem. It's a very nice, a very elegant project. designed by Renzo Piano, that make also the other project that we will see later on. But if you see here, there are only there's no real shadow, and in the last 5-6 years, with the temperature that each summer rise a little bit, there's really a problem to live in this area. So we are managing something, and was the first generation of renovation of waterfront. That is great for us, was great, because Genoa, with this operation, turned to a real touristic city. Only in this area that you see, we have more than 4.5 million visitors each year. Considering that 1 million tourist passengers that are near at our border do not really come visit us, because the cruise companies organize a lot of things that they go on excursion in the city center to the aquarium, of course, that is in our area, but also some other interesting places near Genoa and also outside Genoa. And so that means that we can do better with our relationship with the cruise companies, in order to give the opportunity to the passengers to visit us and to join all our activities. If you go on and you see the other project, so first thing, you see a lot of green. It is completely different, and it's very nice. I mean, and this, if you consider that is the same architect, you see the different approach. That's true that at the first time, 30 years ago, there was something that was there. There was nothing that was rebuilt, only renovated. And in this area, it's totally different. So perhaps if you want, it's more easy to do, because they built new things and renovated something, but with new space to the sea again, because where you see all the sea around the round building, it was not water. It was water there at the beginning 60 or 70 years ago, but now it was all this area was the International Fair of Genoa. So it was totally different from now. If you go on and you see that some renders, because also we will be ready in 2025, like Hortensia. So I suggest to Hortensia sort of exchange. I will come to visit, and you come and visit us in 2025 in order to exchange best practice. And you see how much green, also the next one, how much green we will have, and how the city will be really connected with the sea. So I think this is the real innovation and the progression of the development also from the project people.
And a port area can also have a business profile. Porto Antico has more business orientation activities since 2019, with the convention centers, a fair center.
Listen, Porto Antico was a quite challenging experience, because at the beginning everything was empty. After the renovation for the exhibition in 1992, for celebrating the 500th anniversary of the Discover America by Cristoforo Colombo, and the company, the Porto Antico, had to animate and to fill with the new activities. So we decided to settle in the city, the Congress Center of the city, that is in Porto Antico. You can go on with other images, and in order to give you the idea, So there's business. So we hosted a lot of events during spring and summer, really big events. Also, this is the Congress Center of the city, and also the headquarters of companies. So we have the mix, and this is the real success of the area. That is a place where the companies set the headquarters, the place where tourists come to visit the aquarium, museums, and the events, and also the place where people from Genoa come to spend their spare time. So that this is not a touristic area with only a sort of ghetto for tourists. It's a place for everyone. And this was in the last 30 years the key factor of success. Now we have to go on, because with the new projects also there will be a sort of competition from this old area and the new one that will be very interesting, and a lot of green and a lot of share of shade areas that now we have to rebuild and reconsider, also having to discuss with the Renzo Piano, that is a very charming guy, and but that will help us. It will help us to do something in order to manage all these new needs with the climate change.
Of course, yes, there is an evolution of the needs we have in the port areas, as you just said, but there is one common point: the port areas. When we see Cartagena, when we see Porto Antico, is a meeting point between all communities, and that's an important.
Sorry for interrupting you, but I think that we can say that these areas are the sort of pioneers of new way of planning and organizing cities. I suppose that, I hope also that our cities, our Mediterranean cities, will become little by little more like this new area, with more green, with more places for green mobility and a good organization also for pedestrians, that I think will be the next phase in the city centers and in the cities.
Alberto, I would have a last question for you. As I mentioned before, you are secretary of the board of AIVP. I saw on the website of the association that it emphasizes 3 different axes of in its philosophy: sharing and solidarity, sustainable development, and the general interest and citizen relations. So could we sum up this as a social sustainability philosophy? We talk a lot about social sustainability right now.
Listen, yeah, you're right. To give you an example, during the pandemic, thanks to the webinar and some meetings with all our members, we share how to react and the best practice and the activity that we were making in order to face this difficult period. For us was really hard for us, and I think for all of us, very difficult. But this solidarity and also the opportunity to call and to share with a colleague from another port or another waterfront, and also to have the opportunity to exchange with our contacts in the city and the politicians, in order to help them to grow up in a way, and also coming from the base, from the citizens that are our customers, that are the city users, our user, give us a lot of information, and also our new improvements with all the technology and the use of the data now we can now control how many people we have in the area, what are they doing, keeping the privacy, of course. But it's all the information that we can share with the city in order to give more information and then help the city to better manage the planification of their investments. So it's really something that try to combine the information coming from the citizen, the users, and the idea and also the vision for the future, because we need to look Porto Antico and our areas in the next 10, 15 years in order to be ready to face the challenges.
Thank you. Yes, you're right. Thank you, Alberto, for your insight and your presentation of Porto Antico. We're gonna go a little bit further than the Mediterranean right now with José. José, you said that the working group aim is to create a benchmarking of current best practices. You have members in different countries all around the world. We thought it was interesting to share study cases from a little bit further than the Med frontiers. So Port St. John in Canada and Cruz Bordeaux, you were mentioned before. José, I'm giving the floor
Okay.
to you. So
well, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Anne-Marie. Yeah, indeed. I think that I would say the one of the main added values that the working group can have is sorry, I'm trying to is the fact that we do have members from many different places. We had it last year, and we had it also this year, and there are indeed similar challenges, but we all can also find good examples that can, I think, inspire action. The important thing here is really to understand that it's not about copying one by one what has been done. We saw the other day in the working group with a great presentation that Francesca did, and we had another colleague from Toulon saying, well, this is great, this is going to inspire us, we have to adapt it though, because it's not the same context. And this is a bit what we defend also in AIVP and in the working group, is that try to identify the principles and then see how you can adapt them to your local context. Going fast, because I don't want to take too long, we're running out of time. Indeed, the main goal is to share good practices and have some sort of benchmarking of what is being done. We have members that are coming from Canada, from the Atlantic coast in France, or from North Europe, from Finland. We also have companies, by the way, which is an interesting fact. We have one company that is specialized on onshore power supply, and we'll have one session on that. Now, I wanted just to share very quickly a glance, because we don't have time for more, of two good practices that we already shared last year. One is Port of St. John in the Atlantic coast of Canada. And two things they did, I think they are very good, is that they launched a business and community liaison committee. They launched it during the pandemic in order to have to increase the transparency and to share reliable information with the local community. Of course, mostly with the cruise ecosystem, because they were very worried, as everybody was at the time. And they saw that it was also a great tool, not just during this crisis period that we had, but also later on, in order to have a more personal contact with local business leaders, and to show that the port was available to hear their concerns. And what they did is that they had initially these monthly meetings, and then gradually quarterly, so every 3 months, in order to share the key information and to receive feedback, and then their concerns, and to see how they could react. And what Natalie shared with us were 5 key tips in order to develop something similar in a different case. One is that it is necessary to build trust, and for that is key to have a face. We are humans after all.
Yeah.
We have seen during the pandemic that yeah, virtual meetings work, but at some point we also need to have some physical contact and meet with the people. And of course, we cannot have a morning coffee so often in a physical setting, but if you can, try to meet and see the faces. So this is something they identify who is the people in the Port Authority working for that. Also, it was important to have clear objectives and expectations. Some people expect them to solve all your, expects you to solve all their problems. And some of the problems are not cruise related or are not related to the actions that the Port Authority can take. It is beyond their power. So it's important to understand what can they actually do and what is the point of having this meeting. She also said that the relationship takes time to be built. You cannot expect in one meeting to just like that and then we're all friends and everybody is going to trust me. And also that it was interesting to make it fun. I think this is a very interesting thing because for a few years, I think there was a bit the idea that business has to be serious and fun is only for kids. Actually, what we see is that, you know what, everybody likes to have fun. Everybody likes to have a good conversation, relax. So yeah, this was important for them. Be inclusive and of course, appreciate their commitment. They're also dedicating time for this and be organized and consistent so that they know what they're going to expect in this from this liaison committee and for every time they meet. Now, another project that she shared is this container village that is also connected to the welcoming the cruises, but also for the local population. So it's a bit in the same spirit that we have seen from Genoa and from Cartagena, is the fact that, you know, you can create these interfaces, you can intensify the activities and the exchange that take place here and still follow this maritime spirit of the port city. So they built this container village with several specific areas, beer garden, cruises, you know, so that people, yeah, it's a very successful. They have received several awards for this. You can see that it's very clearly here. The access from the cruise is very connected to them. It's a welcoming place for the people. You know, it's fun in that sense, and indeed they have been recognized. And what is interesting is not just a commercial action and also a cultural one, but it also has a bit of a social aspect, which is the fact that they decided to develop a crew lounge inside this container village, so that also the people, some of the people working in cruises could come out on land and have some welcoming space. Of course, not the entire crew of the ship, but some of the stuff that probably is not so visible. So
it's essential to think of the crew as well. And
exactly, this is exactly what Natalie was saying, that, you know, we're all people and we all miss home. It's good to have a Wi-Fi connection to talk with the family and to feel welcome and not just the lower element of this complex system, right? So, and then we have the Port of Bordeaux that is also being very active. They have done very interesting work on different fields. I just want to highlight one specific campaign. One of the main challenges we saw in the working group was the issue of communication. It's not so easy to communicate about cruises. It's not so easy to share the information, to get the attention of the people, to fight this negative image right away, to fight prejudice that are already installed in people's mind. So they decided to launch this campaign. Let's call together, let's make call together, faisons escale ensemble. And it was mostly to face the opposition, that to give an answer to the opposition they were facing, and share good information, verified facts and data, and also explain the efforts that were already being done, that very often they are unknown by the public. I really love, I just include this image because I really like the graphic, the work that they did to make it attractive, and to also a bit far away from the traditional, perhaps institutional communication, something that's a bit, you know, interesting to look at, get the attention of the locals. But it was based on a very serious work that they have done before, which was the environmental charter that I mentioned in my previous intervention, where key actors, the city, the metropole, the Port Authority, and the pilots developed this charter that cruises have to follow, where they have 6 very clear environmental commitments on water quality, air quality, noise pollution, and so on. And they wanted to share the information that is also connected to this environmental charter. So this is a bit the main elements that they wanted to share. You can still visit the website, by the way. And they did it online. They did it working a lot with social media, and they also did it physically. Not everybody is so active in social media. We see an increasing amount of people that are fed up of Facebook, and they want to disconnect in a way. So this is also another way of making an extra effort, let's say extra mile, to share this information. And they were quite successful because they were able to give answers to the feedback they were receiving online, which is the main advantage of online tools, that you can receive questions and you can give immediate answers. Using all the right tools, they were able to reach out to a lot of people, and it's something that they consider successful. They will share. Again, there is a new government also in the city that traditionally would not be so keen on cruises, but so far they've been able to have a good relationship. So this shows that they were successful in this campaign. I went a bit fast because we don't have so much time, but if anybody wants to know a bit more, I would be happy to help and put you in contact.
Thank you. Yes, with my French colleague Laurence Bouchardet, which made a very great work. Collaboration is key, but communication as well, and you said it very well. Noemi, yes, I'm gonna make a quick presentation. You are from the port of Taranto. You are presenting Taranto in MedCruise Association, and you have also a very good example to share with our audience about Taranto, about the exhibition center of the port of Taranto.
Yes, Anna Maria, I don't want to take too much time, just a way to say something, because even hearing from José, from the best cases he discussed, it is really nice to see how community building, cruising, port-city relations is always a matter of relations, it's a matter of creativity, it's a matter of see your port and your city in a different way. So the case of the cruise village in Port St. John, for example, or other cases can be significant and relevant if you think about a new way to consider our destination. And in Taranto, we launched this open port project, which is really an example of how community building and the relations with the city need a push, because it is a matter of, it is one of the 6 objectives that this Port Authority, so port and territory is one of the objectives that we need to develop over the next 3 years, as it represents one of the main targets to be achieved within our strategic plan, which is the 3-year operational plan. In Italy, all the port authorities need to develop this type of plan as it is required by our law. And so port and territory in our port is a matter of different projects, including the development of cruise tourism, the Taranto Port Days, so even live events that we have in the port, or other infrastructural developments such as the waterfronts that we are renewing also in our port. But Open Port is, first of all, an exhibition center that in this stage is a virtual one. I will go fast because I don't want to take a lot of time. Maybe I can share this presentation with you if you want. Maybe we can discuss even in another occasion. But it is just to say that we decided to put people first in this process. So we wanted to involve the cluster, we wanted to involve the port workers, the women working in the port. We wanted to see our port in a different way. We started to record the sounds of the port. We started to discuss with people, and we created a website that is the hybrid port center currently, which is tarantopenport.com. And we wanted to be also social, just giving the possibility to artists, to photographers, or to citizens and students to come in our port, to visit the port, and to share their perspective and their perception of the port of Taranto. And so they became our ambassadors. They started to, it was the sound of the port, I don't know if you can hear, I don't want to, to take time. But in the website, you will see a lot of things that we are now gathering and collecting. So the interviews of the port workers, the faces of the people working in the port. So women are working in the port, port operator workers. We also describe the history of the port city by creating a timeline of the port of Taranto. We try to collect all the information about the literature, talking about the city, the port city over the decades, or the movies set in our port city. And we also open a blog section where students, where visitors, everybody can send us their impression of the port, or just create a storytelling of their real experience in the port, because we welcome a lot of students or even people aged 90, because we received a request from a man who used to work, used to be a worker, a port worker in the 60s, and he asked us to visit the port again, and he is a 94. So we are trying to create this emotional link with our citizens, with our visitors, and also considering this platform before moving into the real exhibition center that we are going to open. We really hope, and keep your fingers crossed, next year in the Port Exhibition Center that this is the Falanto building we have here in Taranto on the first pier, on the Molo San Cataldo, which is the one overlooking the city. And it will be also subject to renovation for the creation of a unique promenade connecting the port and the city. So we consider these activities as really community building strategy for our port to, first of all, let people know more about the port, because many citizens, they don't know anything about the port. They don't know the activities we develop. They don't know where we are, what we do. And of course, it can be also a way to receive and to get new ideas from the people visiting our port. Because even from students, it is really nice to see how they can be useful and relevant with their ideas, with our really fresh ones. To also, for us, develop new projects. For example, with AIVP, we are structuring the Port City Insta Walls in Taranto, thanks to the collaboration with a high school from our city and another high school from Brest in France. They are developing very new itineraries of the port and between the port and the city, and they will be probably the new guides for our port, for visitors or the cruisers to just to give them their point of view, so their perception and image of the city according to the experience they are developing and sharing on the social networks. So even using new communication tool, new communication strategy, it is really the way we want to continue this port and territory objective. This is just a presentation to share with you the main acknowledgements that we are receiving and the main presentations we are developing for this project. One of the latest is the acknowledgement by CLIA. They included this project in their sustainability toolkit as a best innovative practice to connect the ports and their communities. We are also working with Assoporti for the creation of a guideline for this type of port centers. We are working with IVP within the board of directors and within the port center network too. So from this image, you can see the past, the present, and the future. So the activities that we are developing, even for getting closer to the city, and also the projects that will be hosted in that will be the real physical exhibition center in the port. So I really hope to give you new updates about this project in the coming future.
Thank you, Noemi. So website is tarantopenport.com if you want to have a
Thank
look
you.
to it. It's a very nice website with a lot of inspiration. Thank you, Noemi. I would like now to open the floor to the attendants. If any one of you has a question for one of our guests, please raise your hand, or you can type it in the chat section. More than pleased to give you the floor. Don't be shy. We had very nice and informative presentation from our guests.
Of course, Anne-Marie, if you want, if anybody wants to send us an email, so to ask for a presentation during the event, or just to get in contact for the future, of course, we are more than willing to cooperate with other people, even if they're not members of the working group, of course.
Thank you so much, Noemi. Noemi, José, Alberto, Hortensia, can you type your email in the chat section for those who would be interested to get in touch with you later if they have some questions about the different projects and development presentation we had this morning. Thank you so much. Thank you, because we had a lot of information, inspiration. We have, I think, a lot of many more subjects and topics to discuss. Maybe in a second session. It's really interesting and informative to share with you all the projects, just like we did today. Thanks, Noemi, José, Hortensia, Alberto. Thanks again for having shared your experience, your projects, and prove once more that collaboration and cooperation are key. But I would keep one more word you just said, Noemi: emotion. Collaboration, cooperation, and emotion are key words when we talk about port and city integration. So they are fundamentals for creating a sustainable future in our port and cities. Thanks everyone for attending today, and thanks as well to Nikki, Anya, and Sarah for our daily collaboration. We keep in touch for the working group, and if you have any additional things to say, Noemi, José, more than pleased to leave you the floor for a last word.
From my side, just thank you very much, everybody. Thank you for joining us. If you're interested in the working group, please drop us a line. We'll be happy to open the doors and welcome you in. You have any ideas, good practices, happy to listen. Otherwise, we'll stay in touch.
Thank you. And
yes, thank you.
Yeah.
No, just thank you. I can repeat the same words I said, because it was really a great pleasure for us to be here today. Thank you very much. And
yes, Francesca, I was about to ask for a group picture before everyone gets offline. Anya, please, and keep smiling.
Open your cams.
Yes, open your camera.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
1, 2, 3. Thank you. Thank you very much.
See you in Venice. See you in Venice.
See you very soon. Yes. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.